on my own, no. Everything I do is righteous. Betting on me is the right risk, even in a fucking crisis. I'm never on some switch side shit. I switch gears to the night shift. Blacking out cause I'm enlightened. God talk to me in silence, but I hear him every time, man. Thank you, God. God bless you. Thank you. I took a L, but you're not a
bounce back.
Everything I do is righteous.
Betting on me is the right
risk, even in a fucking crisis. I'm never on some switch side shit. I switch gears to the night shift. Blacking out cause I'm enlightened. God talk to me in silence, but I hear him every time, man. Thank you, God. God bless you. Thank you. I took a L, but you're not a bounce back.
Welcome everyone. So today we're going to talk about what is an overnight hold. And simply, overnight hold means we buy a stock today looking for a gap up the next day. So I just want to start off by saying overnight holds are very, very risky. Okay? And almost every professional day trader that I know personally will tell me that they will absolutely never hold stocks overnight, especially the day trading stocks that we typically trade. They're very volatile, and anything can happen. We're looking for them to gap up, but they can gap down. These things can get bad news. Offerings can be announced, and they can gap down upwards of 80%. So, with that being said, as long as you understand the risk involved with an overnight hold, we'll go ahead and move forward. I want to go over what criteria I look for stocks that I will potentially hold overnight. So basically, we look for stocks that are closing strong at or near the high on the day, but more importantly, breaking a key area of resistance. And if you haven't already watched my previous proper setup video, I strongly urge you to do so. Because basically, for me, an overnight hold is basically a proper setup. So we're looking for these proper setups that exhibit strong momentum intraday. They have increasing volume, especially during power hour, where that momentum can continue into the next day. So some of the criteria I look for are these resistance break proper setups. The stock is trading in a range, okay, $1.50 to $2, $1.50 to $2 for months, okay, and then all of a sudden it breaks out of that trading range. It's a proper setup. It closes over $2, okay. That's a very important criteria that I look for. Okay, so we want to have a bullish chart pattern. Okay, we analyze the whole big picture, the whole chart. Okay, we don't want, if a stock was $4 and it bleeds all the way down to 30 cents, okay, you got to understand that, sure, it could flag break, it could move higher, but there's so much resistance above, okay? Every pop that stock has is going to be met with sellers because there's so many bag holders from above. So the overall picture, the overall chart pattern has to be bullish. There's certain chart patterns that we look for that we can clearly plan the trade and trade that plan by using support and resistance. And that's how we come up with our targets. So, another one is when the price closes above that trading range, it breaks out, it closes over resistance, but it also closes over the simple moving average. That's very bullish. And increasing volume, that is just one of the most important things I look for, okay? Any stock, okay, no matter what, anytime the price of a stock is moving higher, you want to see increasing volume, okay? Because if you don't have increasing volume, that's telling you that the bulls they're losing steam. When you have increasing volume day after day after day and the price moves higher and higher, that tells you right there there's people willing to pay higher for that stock than they were the day before and again the next day. So you want to have increasing volume day after day, especially when the price is moving higher. So, again, if a stock is trading in a range, $1.50 to $2, $1.50 to $2, and it only trades 500,000 shares average daily volume or 1 million average daily volume, all of a sudden this stock puts in 5 million, 10 million, 15 million shares out of nowhere. Sure, it could have been news related, or they have news upcoming, or they have a conference coming up. Okay, we always analyze the full picture, but a big increase in volume out of nowhere, that tells me something's up, and especially when it's a proper setup and it closes above that resistance on increasing volume. That is just one of the main things I look for for an overnight hold. Again, if you haven't watched the technical analysis for beginners video, which I previously did, I strongly urge you to do so as well, because this all comes together. It keeps building on top of each other. So the MACD crossover, that is just so bullish. I look for a MACD crossover. I look for RSI typically between 50 and 70. Now, again, it depends on the overall chart pattern. Just because a stock's RSI is 30 or 25 or 35, that doesn't mean, hey, the RSI is not 50. There's no way I'm going to hold this overnight. You have to look at the full chart picture. So, for example, the stock gaps down 80%. Sure, the RSI is going to be 20. The RSI is going to be 30. That doesn't mean I won't hold it overnight. We have to look at all the criteria. But typically, I like to see the RSI between 50 and 70. That's in the strong bull zone. When the RSI gets over 70, basically, the volume is what dictates if that price action is going to continue and if that stock's going to continue higher. If volume drops off that next day, sure, it could have a huge increase in volume. RSI 75, RSI is 80. The next day, if volume is 20% of what it did the day before, that stock's going to bleed lower. People get impatient, they sell, shorts come in, it causes the stock to go down. So typically when the RSI is 50 to 70, that's telling you that, hey, the price could move potentially much higher. It's got plenty of room to go if the volume is to continue. So those are some of the main things I look for on my overnight holds, okay? And so why are overnight holds so popular? Well, the reason is because even when traders know the risk of holding a stock overnight, especially when the stock is under $5, small cap stocks, penny stocks, they know the risks, but they still continue to want to overnight hold because they're avoiding using a day trade. Many traders, especially traders starting off, they're going to have portfolios less than 25,000, so they have to obey the PTD rule, the pattern day trader rule. And so that's why overnight holds are so popular. They're so important because in combination with those 3 day trades that you get every rolling 5-day period, you can combine a good win streak. So you just have to understand the risk of holding a stock overnight. And obviously, you never, ever put all your eggs in one basket, okay? Because you can wake up that next morning and that stock can be gapped down 80%. So, the overnight hold can absolutely work. It's worked very well for me, especially in 2017. It's worked well for me, but I have a lot of experience. So, you just have to understand that overnight holds can be a catastrophe as well. And I do want to mention that I strongly urge you to not overnight hold stocks, especially if you do not have the ability to sell either after hours or pre-market. Typically, I do not buy after hours or pre-market, but it is good to have the ability to sell if need be. Okay, a stop loss now does not really protect you if you have that 80% gap down. And even if it does trigger, it's going to trigger way lower than where you had that little 5-10% stop, okay, on a big gap down. So you just need to understand that absolutely anything is possible, especially with pharmaceuticals, with stocks that are in the bio sector. News can come out anytime. Sure, it can come out in the middle of the day. There can be a halt. They can have pending news halts. They can have after-hours news. They can announce an offering. And typically those bio stocks, that's where you can get the FDA approvals or rejections, and that's what causes these stocks to fluctuate with such high volatility. So holding overnight is not recommended, especially if you do not have the ability to trade after hours or pre-market. Okay, and generally, how a stock finishes the last 5 minutes of the day can mostly be expected that price action will continue into the next day in most cases, okay? And I just want to mention, especially with those stocks under $5, those penny stocks, a close, when it closes too strong, can actually work against you. Something closes, so the price is $1. This thing just keeps going straight up like a rocket. Nothing goes straight up, okay? What goes up must come down. If something closes too strong, okay, shorts are going to come in. They're going to know that pop, there's no genuine strength behind that move. It might have just been, hey, day traders were flooded into this stock end of day the last 30 minutes, and it forced the stock to go up. It made other people come in, and there's really no genuine strength behind that move. And that's not something we want to hold overnight. That might be a great day trade in power hour towards the end of the day, but you just have to be careful, and all of this comes with experience. But we're going to go over some here. Okay, so too strong of a close can backfire. So this stock here, this was, I think, first month of the year, about a month ago here, MRNS, okay? You see the stock was $3. This thing just bled all the way down to about 80 cents, okay? So there's a ton of resistance here. There's a lot of bag holders in this stock. So there's a lot of resistance. Every pop is going to be met with sellers, okay? So there's a lot to look at here, but basically what I have is a 5-day chart here of MRNS, okay? You can see in the whole 5 days absolutely no volume whatsoever, okay? So this period right here is just 1 day. Here's a zoomed in chart of this 1 day. You can see there's no volume at all this particular day, okay? Absolutely nothing, which is actually this candle right here. So this is the day we're talking about, okay? No volume traded at all in the stock. And typically, even with day trading, I avoid trading these stocks that have no volume. All of a sudden, you get a sudden pop in volume. They're pump and dumps, okay? They're POS. They're garbage, okay? They're very easy to get stuck in. Okay, it's nothing but just day traders flooding in, and that's what causes the stock to go up, and then retail traders come in and they buy it and it goes up even more. But it's just so easy to get stuck. So with MRNS, this close was just too strong. Okay, sure, it did look good. It met some of my criteria. You can see, okay, the volume was decreasing here. No volume really. All of a sudden on this day here, the day we're talking about, nice big volume spike. But you have to look at the momentum, the strength behind the move. Sure, it's a big volume pop, but why? Okay, all day there was no volume. This whole volume spike was just basically the last 15 minutes, the last hour, just power hour. That's not a genuine move. Sure, it broke this range. It broke this resistance at 110, 115, okay? It even closed above this resistance at 130, okay? Big resistance at 130, closed above it. Actually broke 140, closed near the resistance at 140. So it's just too strong of a close, and you have to analyze the power behind that move. Okay, you see this thing just took off from 110. It closed, 140, hit 145, closed at 140, hits 160 after hours. Okay, and then it's just flooded with sellers. So, and you see what happens pre-market the next day. This thing tanks right back down. Shorters must have came in. So this was just a day trade move, okay? Shorters came in, and you see what happens at the open. It tanks even more. So, it's just so hard to describe, to put to words, and it just kind of comes with experience, and it's just hard to know sometimes. So, it's just this overall chart pattern. This chart pattern is not good. This is not a good chart pattern. It's just beat up, and see, and the volume needed to come in. You see what happened the next day? It never even went green. Volume was even less than the day. This volume would have had to be increasing volume for this to even have a chance to go up higher. So you always want to look at, and even still, okay, it closed at 140. Where's the next resistance? Where's the target? Why would I buy this and hold overnight at 130, 140? The target is only 150. There's resistance 150. You're holding overnight. Look, sure, if it breaks 150, okay, it could have moved up higher. Maybe 170 and $2. But it's so hard to put to words. But too strong of a close can backfire. Here's another one. It's RNVA, just pure POS, just garbage. I mean, just look at this chart. Why would you want to even trade? I'd never even touch this stock. I would never even buy this stock as a day trade. This is just, look at these candles. You have these, this is a pump and dump. Come on. Look at these moves. You got these terrible wicks. You get just an awful chart. Okay, so, again, same type of thing. Okay, couple day chart here. This is zoomed in on the 1 day here we're going to look at, which is this move here. Okay. Closes strong, but look, there's no volume whatsoever the whole day, the whole 3 days. Okay. Sure, it breaks resistance at 8.5 cents. Okay. Sure, it breaks resistance at 9 cents, and it takes off. That's a proper setup intraday for a day trade. Okay. Closes so strong. Okay, and even after hours. After hours typically does not matter. There was not much volume at all. Unless volume is very, very high after hours, I generally do not even care for after hours. But yeah, this thing hits 15 after hours. Okay, but look at the whole day. There was no volume. Just random pop of volume here starting at power hour and random volume. This is just day trader volume here. Okay, you don't want to hold this overnight. Look at this chart pattern. There's resistance everywhere. 12.5 cents resistance. 15, big resistance. Look at all these times it tried to break 15 and couldn't do it. Okay, big resistance at 15. Sure, if it breaks 15, which obviously it didn't, be a big resistance, it could have went to 20. Would have been 17.5, 18, and then 20, and 22.5 the next targets. But you see what happens? Pre-market the next day, it plummets. Okay, it's not a genuine move. There's no strength behind the move. This is simply day traders just coming in looking for something to day trade. You see what happens pre-market, it tanks. You see what happens at the open, it tanks. So these are things you want to avoid. Okay, it's hard to explain, but with that being said, okay, this was back in December. Now the IDXG. Okay, now this was a great overnight hold for me as well as many team members in chat. It's hard to see because of the reverse split and the action in the chart is a little altered, but right in here, okay, the stock was down at 20 cents. Okay, I got in around 22 cents and I held it overnight. It's hard to see, but this was the day, and 22 cents. It broke it here, and that's where I got in and held overnight. It closed over a resistance range. Okay, and you see what happened the next day. Okay, just woke up to a massive gap up. I was in at 22 cents. It hit 60 almost in the pre-market. Okay, dipped at the open. It went red to green as far as the open setup here. But right here gives another buy signal when it clears the pre-market high on day and just rips all day. Consolidates on no volume. Just this was an excellent overnight hold. I just wanted to show it. It's hard to see here on the chart, but let's go into the next one. 2017 has just been unbelievable for myself and for many of our members, especially with the overnight hold. Okay, 2017 started with a bang for me. ETRM. Okay, I mean, what a way to start 2017 with this stock here. Okay, sure, not your typical great bullish chart pattern. Okay, had a reverse split. So when something has a reverse split, you kind of throw out everything in the back. It's kind of just, we're looking at the current action. So, I come across this stock. Okay, here was the day intraday, had a big gap up after the reverse split. It takes off, flags. Okay, I got in at $4, somewhere right in here. I think I got in right here around lunchtime. Okay, and it ended up breaking support here at 380. Okay, came down to 350-ish. I still was going to hold this overnight. I think I may have bought more, but it did end up closing strong. You see what ends up happening. Sometimes it's just a gut feeling. It's just an instinct. It's hard to describe. I keep saying that over and over, but you see what happened the next day. I mean, I woke up. This thing was already at 650 when I woke up. Okay, it was just such a big increase in volume this first day at the reverse split. Look at this massive volume. So I held it overnight. Sure, it's great to have luck on your side. Don't get me wrong. I don't trade on luck. I don't gamble. I trade chart patterns and use technical analysis. But hey, it's always great to have luck on your side. I'll admit it. I got a little lucky. Well, what are you going to do? Okay, I got in at 4 here, held overnight. This thing opens up next day way over $6. And you see what happens. Consolidates and just rips higher to 950. Ended up, I think this is what it looked like at the open. Was up, 2.6. Okay, and I actually, locked in this profit here. I did not hold it overnight into the next day. Look at this big, massive volume. Okay, you always wanted to see that increase in volume. Now this day here, it gaps up again. I ended up getting in and alerting it to all our members in chat at 1280, and I believe 1320 as well. And I did hold it overnight on this day here. Okay, I got in at 13, alerted it to all our members. Okay, I think it closed up here on 18. Alerted it as an overnight hold again. I ended up selling, I believe, the next day. I trim my positions on the way up, not the way down. I lock in profits as the stock is increasing. That's a way to assure profit. Okay, I think I started selling over this simple period moving average at 21. I started selling at 22, I believe. And then I sold the rest of my entire position at $24 to $26. Even had a few more day trades. Okay, and after that, of course, the RSI is over 90. Of course, it's going to start to drop. We'll take a look at. I actually ended up overnight holding ETRM again this past week. Okay, you see what ended up happening? Came way back down to the simple period moving average. Had a Fibonacci retrace bounce here. Came back down again to the moving average. No volume whatsoever. So there's that volume increase that we look for. Okay. It has resistance here at $8. It's a proper setup. It broke and closed above $8 on increasing volume. MACD looked like it potentially could have crossed. RSI is above 50. Okay, it met all my criteria. I announced I got in at 8:02 here just the other day. Announced it as an overnight hold. Alerted it to all the members. Okay, I think this was up after hours, 870, something like that. Could have sold after hours for profit from 8:02. I think it. Sure, it went red the next day, but this was 9:30, 9:25, I believe, in pre-market. So that's another successful overnight hold. You want to be able to sell pre-market because sometimes, you'll get the high at 8 a.m. and then from there it just goes red. But you want to be able to sell pre-market. Okay, any overnight hold that yields any profit, whether it's 1% or 100%, is a win. Okay, any overnight hold with a profit is a win. And so I think I ended up selling. This one had good potential here, okay, because the RSI was 50, had nice increasing volume. You see what happened the next day. The volume was half of the day before. There's no way this is going to continue higher. This would have needed increasing volume to go up the next day. But the reason I was kind of liking it for a higher bounce, because when it closed over 8 as a proper setup, the next resistance target, my target was 950, I believe. Sure, it almost hit it in the pre-market. But this potentially could have tested $10 here. Knowing that if it would have broke $10, it could have actually came up and filled this small gap here up at 13. Okay. Either way, I ended up selling around 830, 840. Still made an overnight hold profit. So that was good. Okay. This past week, as I said, 2017 has just been a phenomenal year for myself and for all many PlanetTrade.net members. Just phenomenal for the overnight hold. I mean, this past week was just excellent. Okay, and myself and many members at PlanetTrade.net, I'm all about transparency. Okay, by showing someone a gain on one of my trades, I'm not bragging. I'm not, it's not about bragging. It's not about showing you, hey, I look at this. I made this X amount of money. That's not the point. That's not why we show our gains. I also show my losses. Okay, a good trader does not only talk about his wins. Okay, you need to talk about your losses. You need to understand why you lost on that trade. Okay, analyzing a losing trade is even more important than analyzing a winning trade and why that winning trade worked for you. Okay, what makes a good trader is consistency. So that's what we're trying to achieve, is being consistent. Anybody can make a winning trade, but it's the consistency that we strive for, to reproduce that winning trade over and over and over again. What worked in that winning trade? Why did I make money? Why did that trade work for me? And we try and replicate that trade, okay? But we still want to look at our losing trades, and that's what we do at PlanTheTrade.net. I am very transparent. Okay, I show all of my trades. I show all of my losses. I tell you when I take a loss. A good trader is able to take a loss. Okay, taking a loss is part of trading. You can't sit there and not have a stop loss and take a major loss. Okay, you have to understand the risk-reward ratio. By having a stop loss, okay, say we take 10 trades, okay, as long as your winning percentage is greater than the loss, you're going to come out on top as long as you stick to the plan. We have a plan and we stick to that plan, okay? So this past week, just phenomenal overnight holds left and right. Proper setups. We're flying around the chat room. Members did a fantastic job. Just so impressive the way we worked together. Okay, in chat, calling out plays, calling out resistance, planning that trade in real time. We plan the trade. We look at resistance. We come up with targets. We come up with buy signals. We take our entry. We have our stop loss. We have our risk reward ratio. Okay, just a fantastic job in chat. Everybody, just keep up the great work. Okay, but this one here, let's get into it. Was TENX. Okay, the stock was $2. I actually like the stock for a swing trade, but again, high risk by holding a bio stock overnight or swinging a bio stock long term. The only way you were in this stock, okay, I had a 80% gap down pretty much, and the only way you're in this stock, the chart pattern did look good and I liked it, is if you're long term investing in this stock. And I do not personally long term invest in any stock under $5, particularly in most cases. Okay, they're just for day trading, and they're very volatile and high risk, especially in the bio sector. So this one here came out with a failed trial or whatever the bad news was, caused it to gap down enormously. Okay, I alerted this as a dead cat bounce day trade here on this first day. It saw a little bit of a bounce, but didn't close way off the highs. Okay, so that next day we still had it on watch. Okay, it actually did gap up. I did not hold it overnight this first day. I could have, but I didn't like the weak close. Okay, but this day here, okay, I alerted this as a day trade. I got in at 55 cents. Okay, went up to 60, closed around 58, I believe. But the reason why I went ahead and announced this as an overnight hold was because it closed basically in this gap fill zone. It closed over the high from the gap down day. Okay, it met my criteria. Sure, the RSI is, of course, it's not 50. It had a huge gap down. Okay, so we look at the overall picture. We're analyzing the situation here. Okay, it's a gap down. It closed in the gap fill zone over this resistance, over this high from the gap down day. And I knew, okay, I held this overnight. I was alerted at 55 entry to all PlanTheTrade.net members. I held it overnight because it closed over this range, knowing that if it broke 60 cents, I knew this was going to take off. I said it, and I said it again in chat. Look what happens. I think this was even up 62 after hours. I just had, my instinct. It comes with experience. I just knew it. And no one knows what a stock's going to do. Okay, but I just had that feeling, this momentum, the move behind the stock. I just felt the dead cat bounce was going to come. I knew that in this situation, this gap down was much over exaggerated. Okay, sure, they had a failed trial. I think it was like 5 patients or something like that. I'm not big on news. I don't rely on news. I trade chart patterns. I trade support and resistance. I knew that this gap down was way over exaggerated, and I knew that this was going to bounce. Okay, so basically held it overnight from 55 cents. Was never down in the trade, and that's what you get in a proper setup trade. Okay, you're never underwater in the trade. You buy, and it goes up instantly. So closed at 58. Next day, it was up 62 after hours. Opened up, I think, at 60. Shot up right out of the gate. I think this was what the gain I woke up to. See, I had 911. I do that sometimes, but woke up to about $1,000 gain overnight. This is when the stock was only 69 cents. Again, I take profits on the way up, so I had almost a 7,000 share position. I started trimming my position. I think I sold, 1,911 shares around 72 cents, and I just trimmed my position little by little, locking in profits, assuring profit. What that does is if the stock was to reverse and dip, because we don't truly know, we're going off of support and resistance, I am locking in profits, okay? I think this thing hit around 94 cents. I took my last sell order around 92, and in the last 1,000 shares or so, I sold around 88 when the stock had started coming down. But again, I had trimmed my position on the way up, locking in profits. I think I profited around 2.5K on this one. But this one here was just a great overnight hold. But it was a different situation. Okay, you have to analyze the situation. This wasn't a bullish chart pattern. It was a gap down play, dead cat bounce, closed over resistance, closed in the gap fill zone, knowing that if it broke this high on day 60 cents, it was going to take off. Look at this volume. That's what did it. Okay, had volume here. Okay, that next day around 6 million, I think it was here. Um, that next day, I think it did. I'm not sure, but did 20 million. A massive increase in volume from this day here, and that's what just pushed this stock way higher. And you see what happened. Sure, the next day again did push towards testing this high on day. If it would have broke this high on day here, I would have alerted it as a proper setup day trade with knowing that break $1, it can go to $1.20, $1.40. Ended up closing red, and the reason being much less volume. Okay. So here was another winning overnight hold alerted in chat to all PlanTheTrade.net members. DRYS, everybody remembers the Titanic. Had this massive move. The chart's a little bit flustered, altered because of this reverse split and all this kind of nonsense. But the stock was never $1,000. But basically, this stock went from I think $1, $2 to 120. I think one day in the pre-market. In a matter of 4 or 5 days, RSI was 99.99. But regardless, bleeds all the way down, has a reverse split and whatnot. I ended up alerting this as an overnight hold. I got in way late. Okay, this made a move from members in chat. Actually, did a great job on this one, calling this one out around I think $2 and change, $3, $2.50, $3. I think $3.50 for sure. This was alerted all over and over as a day trade alert in chat. I got in late, but the reason being I still liked it. Okay, I was analyzing an intraday here on this day here, had good support at 450. I got in and alerted it as an overnight hold at 469. Okay, partly instinct, partly the gut feeling, but it had a nice increase in volume from these days here. Okay, big increase in volume came in. I think they had some kind of news. I'm not really sure. Again, I don't trade on news. I don't rely on news, especially with these stocks under $5. The news is just used as manipulation. Okay, they will put out the news that they want to make the stock do what they want. If they want it to go up or down, they use offering, they use news to do what they need. Okay, but I trade chart patterns. This here had a nice increase in volume, closed strong. Okay, I held it overnight at 469. I think this is what it was when I woke up. Okay. Gapped up pretty well. Just massive volume that day. Wow. Held it overnight. 622. Looked like nearly 1,500 overnight profit. So, I actually did have. I'm always on defense when I take trades. You have to understand, this is DRYS we're talking about. This is the Titanic we're talking about. Okay, we did have a plan in place. I did have this as 630. I think there was some news involved where someone had shares at 320, but they also had an average at 630, and I think that was pure manipulation, and that is what trapped a lot of people. It kind of fooled me a little bit, to be honest. I knew holding this overnight from 469 that 630, $6 was a target of mine, but I knew that if this could break 630, my next target was around 750. Okay, so I wanted to give it a chance to try and break 650. I alerted my sell. I alerted my buys and my sells in chat. I alerted, I think I sold 25% of this position at 615. Okay, you always want to lock in profits when present. We do not know what will happen next, but if this would have broke this 630, I think it hit 640, 644 high on day. I wanted to give it that chance. You want to let your winners run, and you want to cut those losses and keep those losses small. So I wanted to give it a chance to try and go. Okay, it just didn't do it. It flagged around 6 and 630 for so long. Meanwhile, that's probably where insiders were dumping their shares. I quickly got out after selling 25% at 615. I think I sold the rest around 580. Locked in a nice gain overnight. But again, this stays on watch now, 2 days lower, finding support, finding buyers here near $4. I believe they have earnings coming up on Tuesday. You can see the volume has decreased so much, just big decrease in volume. So Monday coming up, this thing sees a volume pop here. If it can get over this high on day from Friday at 450, this potentially can move back again to test this $6 area. We're going to keep this on watch with earnings coming up on Tuesday. You just want to remember what you're trading. Again, you want to treat every stock as A, B, C, D, because sometimes I'll miss out on a move knowing that the stock is such a POS, pump and dump piece of garbage. But by treating every symbol with, like it's ABCD and just trading the chart, okay, in and out for profits, we can capitalize on a move. I'm not going to invest in this stock. I'm not going to be a long-term holder. I'm going to look for a day trade if it gives the proper setup entry, okay? Here's another big overnight hold winner for myself and many PlanTheTrade.net members that took the alert here. Okay, and you can see here, met so many of my overnight hold criterias. Okay, I got in at 219. Okay, which was late. We had expert trader Llama Face announce this as a buy. I think she was in around 130. Sold at 190, but either way, made a nice big profit. I got in late. And the reason I did get in at 219 was because that was a proper setup entry. It was a high on day break. It was a resistance break. It broke this high right here. It broke this resistance at 220. Okay. When I alerted this trade in chat, it was a never underwater trade. We were never, anyone who took that trade was never down in the trade. I think this gain here, this is what it looked like at the close. Okay. But alerted this at 219, 220 as a buy, got in. Instantly, within 3 minutes, this thing spiked to high on day at 260, or at the time high on day 260. Okay, so within 3 minutes, I could have locked in this gain here. I believe in this account particularly, I had no more day trades, or I had one. Excuse me, I had one day trade left. I'll never buy something without a day trade and buy on hope, knowing I have to hold overnight. I don't do that. I don't gamble. Okay, I had one day trade left when I got in at 220. So if I had more day trades left, I would have sold at 260. 3 minutes, $1,000 gain. Where are you going to get $1,000 in 3 minutes? That is a fantastic alert, fantastic trade for all PlanTheTrade.net members. Typically, I would have sold there over 250 or trimmed my position on the way up. And, this ended up dipping. Could have got back in. But, again, I knew that if this closed over, I wanted it to close over 230 on this day here. I believe myself and another member, KHY, were just watching this like a hawk from about 1 p.m. Okay, on Thursday. It flagged on very low volume up until I think it started at power hour. I can't exactly remember. I think it was 2:30, 2:45. It finally popped. Volume came in, but I knew that if this closed over 225, 230, I would hold it overnight. This thing ended up closing way up here, testing $3. Closed around 275. I came back into my alerted entry at 219. I announced it to all members, hey, I'm holding this overnight. Okay. Not exactly the best setup that I look for, but you had the MACD cross. You had massive volume. That's why I liked it so much. It closed over resistance. Okay, my target was this high here from this candle at 375, 365. Okay. The RSI wasn't quite 70. I think it was around 68 at this point here. Held it overnight. Had strong momentum. Closed strong. I felt good about it. Okay. I think pre-market it looked like this. Okay, this $1,000 gain at the close turned into $2,500 at the open. I think at the open this thing shot right up like a rocket, like a bat out of hell. Shot up to 475. And I took profits on the way up. Okay, locking in a massive gain on this overnight hold. I knew that if it got through this high here around 375, my targets were 4 and 450. I did think that if it broke 450. Because the RSI was only 70, just over 70, it could have gone much higher. It could have supernovaed to $6, in fact. But regardless, locked in a massive gain overnight. This is going to remain on my watch list for the next 2 weeks. Okay, this is still a strong stock. It's got good news behind it. I like the setup. This may come down another 2 days or so. It is far away from the moving averages. Needs to come in a little bit. If this can hold this 220 support, if $2 especially can hold that support 225, this is going to, regardless, this is going to pop again. Question is when. So it costs me nothing to have on a chart. We'll keep it on watch. When it gives that proper set, it might come back down to $2, flag a little bit, and then give the proper setup pop. Okay. Never know. Maybe this maybe this goes red to green or something like that on Monday and just rips higher. If it gets through 350, it's going to test this 475 high. All I know is that if it ever breaks 475, it's going to go to $5-6. We'll keep that on watch moving forward. That was a great overnight hold. You know, I just want to say in conclusion, you know, overnight holds are very, very risky. Cannot stress that enough. Many traders just will never hold overnight. I have over 15 years experience. I feel comfortable holding overnight, but I do know that I will never put all of my eggs in one basket. Typically, but depending on my confidence and the stock setup, I'll typically hold 1,000 to 5,000 worth overnight. Typically, it's just 1,000 to 2,000, unless I'm extremely confident in the move, in that setup. You have to gauge the momentum. What caused the move? Is it a genuine move, or is it just day traders piling in, day trading that stock in Power Hour? Okay, is it a strong move? What is behind the move? Does it have increasing volume? We combine all the technical analysis that we use and that we have learned. You have to know the risk reward. A little bit of instinct comes in, and that confidence comes with experience. You have to study. You have to put the effort in to see the results. Okay? Nothing is handed to you in life, and nothing is handed to you in the stock market. You have to put the effort in. You study, and you will reap the rewards. I promise you. Okay? You have to stick to the plan. Any gain in an overnight hold, I don't care if it's a dollar. If it's 1%, it's a win. Okay? You cannot be greedy. You have to lock in profits when present. I trim positions on the way up to assure profit. You have to stick to the plan now. If you hold something overnight and it's down, it opens up, maybe goes red, you have to have a plan. Are you going to have a tight stop loss? Okay. Generally, I have starter positions when I buy with plans to add. So I do not typically have a tight stop loss after my initial buy order because I know that it's a starter position around $1,000 typically. And I have plans to add up to, you know, 4,000 to 9,000 more, depending. So I let the stock come down a little bit. I'll buy double down at support. The problem is once you double down, you have to have an even tighter stop loss. Everybody's trading strategy is different, but that's what works for me. That's typically what I do, but you have to stick to the plan. Just wanted to mention here, this is a platinum member, lifetime member at planthetrade.net. This is his past week. Great week, you know. I probably had a couple of overnight holds, great day trades, you know, plus $600, 15%, just like that, 1 week. Fantastic job. You know, again, we're not bragging here. We're just showing. We're showing that it is possible. When you put the effort in, when you study, when you build watch lists, when you move those stocks to strong watch, when you know the proper setup entry, when you know the price that needs to break, you know the resistance target above that price break, this is what you can end up with. This is my realized gain short term in 1 week, basically in 3 days. This came from Dries overnight hold, ETRM overnight hold, a TENX overnight hold, and Naked, NAKD overnight hold. Okay, almost nearly $8,000 overnight, 8,000 profit in 1 week. Okay, so it is possible. You put the effort in, you study, and you get gains. So again, overnight holds are very risky, but anytime you have questions, you know, that's what I'm here for. That is why we created planthetrade.net. Okay, I enjoy helping others. No one should have to learn the hard way like I did. Learn from my mistakes. Invest in yourself. Get the knowledge that you need to succeed. Message me anytime at Red to Green only takes one. Message SDHillen275. You can email us anytime at teampttttp@gmail.com. Please visit our website, planthetrade.net. Okay, we do have a monthly access sale going on until March 13th. Okay. I strongly urge you, if you are not a member currently, to please visit our website, join us. We offer a 7-day trial. Okay. Check us out. We're a trading community. We work together. It's not just about giving out alerts, and nobody here is just following blindly on my alerts or anyone other expert traders' alerts. Okay, we're working together. We're a true community. You get to know other traders on a personal level. Okay, we're a family. We work together. We take winning trades. We plan the trade and trade the plan. Okay, so please give us a try. See if we're the right community for you. I'm almost positive you'll love it. You know, we're just growing exponentially in such a short time. We have now members in 15 countries in not even 5 months. I mean, and that's for good reason. You know, I personally mentor each and every one of our members. Okay, we have live radio. I'll get on the radio. I'll discuss. We do live screen sharing. I'll set up people's Think or Swims. On that night, on that note, everybody have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you next time. Talk to me in silence, but I hear him every time, man. God bless you. That's right, took a L, but you're not a bounce back.